Great sounding audio doesn't have to cost a fortune. In fact, you can have the best of all presents. Bass, sound quality, staging, imaging, that live concert, everything you want for an affordable price. And that's what we've done with the Arc Audio Jetta. Come check it out. Hey everybody, Fred from Arc Audio. We're here at the 2024 CMA show with one of our latest builds, but with a little bit of a different twist. Big systems don't always have to be big and glamorous. They don't have to have tons of product. Last year we brought the Flex to show off our strength with technology and what we can do with integration and have great sound. This year we brought it back to something simple. What we brought this year is my son's 2017 Volkswagen Jetta, except for with a little bit of a simplified twist. We're here this year to show you don't have to spend a fortune in order to be able to get the best sound possible. But this was a father-son project as well too. Built in a garage with everyday materials, but yet great product, and focusing on the fundamentals and the basics of audio to create its strength, doing it right, and creating an absolutely incredible sound quality platform, but yet something that a teenager can have fun with without destroying the product. And I only laugh because he also does a lot of testing for us on some of our subwoofers. Basically, you send a teenager out to blow things up. Well, if he blows it up, you learn from it. But in this case, we're here to showcase the strengths of everything from sound quality to SPL in a realistic install that's affordable that everybody can do. Let's check it out. Any great system has to start with a foundation, and the foundation of a system is only going to be as strong as the weakest link, starting from the head unit all the way back. In this case, when we were designing this car, one of the things that I really pushed on my kid was you have to start with a good head unit and a good source, a clean signal, a dynamic signal, something that's going to offer strength and support for everything behind it. For that, this system actually got an older reference Kenwood Excelon reference doubled-in head unit. It has all the features I need for safety to keep him on the road and keep his eyes on the road. Bluetooth for his phone calls if he's going to take any. We got navigation to get him from point A to point B. But one of the big important things for me was a nice, strong 8-volt output. It has great output, good dynamics, great resolution on the output, and as far as what the RCAs go, he's got front, rear, and sub. We've also got direct data port in off of a mobile device, so we can do streaming audio into it for him as well. This piece alone with a simple dash kit is easy to install. It's all plug and play. We didn't cut any harnesses, and it creates the ultimate foundation for everything coming downstream in the system to give the sound quality that we want. Mid-bass and support of the low frequencies isn't only an extension of what you find in a subwoofer. Mid-bass is also one of the biggest challenges of a lot of vehicles, and it takes a lot of things, from great product and installation to a lot of sound dampening as well. For the mid-bass in this vehicle in the front, we've got a pair of Arc Audio RS6s mounted in the stock locations. Ultimately, we want to be able to put this car back to stock, but the RS6 is a great reference, high-end speaker that we can run at a low frequency, offering a lot of sound impact and great energy out and warmth in the front of the vehicle. But just like anything else, when you deal with a less expensive, more cost-effective vehicle, the vehicle has a lot of metal in it. It also has a lot of resonance and a lot of plastic. So this vehicle incorporated a lot of Dynamat and different Dynamat products in order to be able to get the dampening. For example, the doors themselves, we wanted to make sure it didn't have a lot of resonance and vibration and acoustical interference with what we were trying to achieve with that nice reference front end. So the outer skin actually has a layer of Dynaplate on it. Above the Dynaplate on the outer skin, we actually have the Dynamatic Stream, and then a layer of 1/2-inch Dynaliner, which is the foam. The combination of this not only gives us great resonation, great reduction in sound control, it cuts back on road noise, wind noise, it also cuts back on internal resonance. But then we have the middle panel, which is where the speaker itself is mounted. We have a layer of Dynaplate over the open areas in order to create a nice solid baffle and sealed chamber. Then we're using the new Dynamat Pro Extreme, which offers a super thick 5mm aluminum and double layer butyl base backing on there, so it absorbs all the resonance coming out of that mid-bass driver when we're under heavy demand. And then we have another layer of 1/4-inch Dynaliner that the speaker is mounted over on it. As a result, there's not a lot of loss of energy anywhere in the system, and it's a solid foundation that you can put any driver into and have a great performance on it. But with the Arc Audio RS driver, it brings that reference bottom end that we're looking for and the support we need for the mid-range without taking away from the ambience, acoustics, and everything that we're looking for in the vehicle on something that's realistic, reasonable, and creates that ultimate audio package. You know, a lot of people have done pillars in vehicles, and pillars is something that, you know, especially for like me, I'm a bigger guy. I sit down in the car and you got speakers down in the lower stock locations. One of the problems is we sit in, we block the speakers. I like doing pillars because it gets your primary source of information in the front stage up and out of the way and out of the environment, away from the body. And so the body becomes less of an involvement in interference with what you got coming as far as your sound. So what we did here is, when my son and I were building these panels, we wanted to make sure that the A-pillars were not obtrusive. We didn't want these big bulky drivers. We didn't want these big bulky pillars on here. So I sent him on a goal, and that was in order to create a pillar that was as low profile as possible, that took up the least amount of space, but was going to give us the best of everything we needed. Tonality, which means they had to be strong and rigid, and that they had to be well applied to where they didn't have their own resonance. But with the benefit of speakers like the Arc Audio RS 3.0 and the RS 1.0, we had the absolute best drivers available to us in order to be able to create that ultimate sound quality experience. So in this case, one of our guys at the shop, Brian Mitchell, cut out a set of acrylic panels that these actually mount to. These things were fiberglassed up and in, which actually my 18-year-old kid did. Glassed them into the panels, molded them in, and then reupholstered. And it was done in such a way to where they were the least obstructive as possible. The idea was get them back in and tucked away as far as they can, so we didn't have these big monster pillars. But with where they're at, it also gives us the ultimate foundation for things like depth, overall ambience, width, and staging. And as a result, when you sit in this car with some proper tuning, of course, you get the ultimate 3D staging experience. I'm not going to lie, I'm actually quite jealous with how well this thing stages, even compared to my own Flex and some of my other vehicles. But, you know, pillars don't always have to be big. They don't have to be a monster. And with speakers and the design that's behind, with the co-development engineering with our Denmark engineers, the RS 1.0 and the RS 3.0, in this application has proven to be a phenomenal addition to this vehicle. You know, we talk about integration and simplicity. In this case, I really didn't want a lot of things shown, but I wanted to be able to have it be shown. So when I was working with my son on this, we had to make sure that we put a focus on some old school materials, old school ways. We didn't necessarily have all the templates and everything that we were looking to do with some of today's modern technology. We didn't have lasers and CNCs at our disposal. So, you know, there was a lot of just, you know, it was called Home Depot, you know, hardware store materials, going to automotive locations, things that a lot of us got started with. That's where I wanted him to go with this. Seats up, we got seat covers on this thing. It's a Volkswagen cloth interior, but you fold it down and it exposes everything in the back. What we've got here is a very simply integrated system. We have everything molded in with carpet around to the outside panels, so it looks nice and it's showable. With the red light off, you could actually see this. My son actually liked the patterns a lot with the spotlighting of the LEDs. This is actually a copper plate that's got hairline grain on it. It's a nice, elegant taste on here, but this was like the great place and a perfect home for these amplifiers. So what we've done here is we've got the primary amplifier in the system, which is an Arc Audio Blackbird. It's an 8-channel amplifier that's rated total to about 1,000 watts of power. We're running the first 4 channels to the mids and highs up front, and in the mid-bass drivers, we're running bridged on the back half of the channels, so we're getting about 250 to 300 watts per channel to the mid-bass. Great support. This amplifier also has the Arc Audio Pro Series DSP built into it, which gives us a lot of tuning power and a lot of control with the system, everything from time alignment to equalization, as well as preset capability. I wanted to make sure that, you know, one, we can have a preset to demo this thing for a great sound quality performance, and yet have a thing like something as simple as a bass level or subwoofer level volume control for him to be able to crank up the bass when he wants to, whether he's showing off to his friends or turning it down to avoid that cop setting up at the corner ahead of him from playing it too loud. But we got one Arc Audio Blackbird right here, which is our 8-channel. It's got 8-channel amplified DSP with an additional 4 channels of DSP output, and that's running to 2 of our Arc Audio Nighthawks. The Nighthawks are a 800 watt rated amplifier. The thing about the Arc Audio amplifiers is they're all very generously underrated. We always do a under promise over deliver aspect of things with the installations and the way that we design the amplifiers. So when you buy one of these amps, you're getting more power than what's on the rated sheet. We did, real basic things here. Everything's clean. We did heat shrink lumen tech flex on all the wires. We wanted to make sure that everything had the nice final touches. I wanted to make sure he understood the little details. Everything's important. You don't just shove a wire in a terminal at the risk of having a bad connection. Bad connections can be detrimental in the system from noise as well as also product failures. We wired the whole vehicle up with Stinger products. We have Stinger OFC oxygen-free copper power cables running throughout. We got 1-aught running into it from the front, which we're running a Stinger battery up front with their 1-aught power cable, and then of course everything is 4-gauge out into these amplifiers. The interesting thing that you have to remember with amplifiers like this is efficiency. And one of the reasons why we chose these amplifiers is, it used to be the days where you put in a big audio system with a lot of power or even a moderately powered system, and you had to either replace the battery or upgrade the alternator. The interesting fact is this vehicle's still running on the stock alternator with a stock size battery. We didn't do any upgrades. We didn't have to because these amplifiers are all over 90% efficient. So they maximize the amount of audio that you get out of them with the least amount of power, which makes them absolutely phenomenal for small cars like this or, well, any car without having to spend tons of money on upgrading the electrical and charging system. But we wanted something elegant. We put some LED lights in here so he can turn them on and off, change the colors, show them off. Real simple install. You put the seats up, it's all gone. And all you have is what you hear, not what you see. These things are phenomenal. They're compact. You can put them anywhere you want. They're a solution-based product, and they've got so much more capability in them for other cars, especially if you have to do things like integration with any of the AR Maestro platform. This vehicle does have a Maestro RR into it, so we can integrate the head unit into the vehicle. But this product here, absolutely one of the best deals you're going to find on the market for the price, best sound, best quality, and it gives you the best of all worlds. And not only is it good for guys like me where sound quality is one of the key things, well, this thing's also a phenomenal street beater for those teenagers who just want to get down and get dirty. We had to keep this thing simple. At the same time, I wanted to give them something that was solid with a ton of bass and keep the trunk usable. In fact, this thing was loaded full of stuff when we came out here to Toronto. All we did here, real simple trim panel. We have a couple of Arc Audio X2 Series 12s in here. We brought these subs because we wanted to show people what they can do from a sound quality standpoint and how they can honestly give you all the bass you could ever need. Real simple 1 cubic foot driver, or 1 cubic foot sealed enclosure per driver. Basic trim carpet panel. This whole thing can go back to stock. There's not much to say about this other than put it in, drive it, and listen. These drivers are probably one of the best values on the market for the price. It's not an audiophile level subwoofer, and you know what? These things sound incredible. I really hope you guys enjoyed what we walked through. It's a very simple install. Doesn't have a lot of thrills visually, but it's not designed to. This is about making a car sound great and keeping it affordable. But for me, this was the first full father-son project that I've had with my son. He's getting ready to leave for college. And this was the first time that I've actually had the involvement of him because he's showing an interest in the wonderful thing we call music and the emotion driven by it. And that's what this build was about. Creating a foundation, using great products, and being able to bring a vehicle like this to the show and showing people it doesn't take a ton of money and it doesn't take a crazy install to make things sound great. This is as simple as it gets. And dads, all the dads out there that are watching and looking into this, this is the kind of thing. Teach your kids now, make them and get them to appreciate music for what it's worth. Show them the right steps and help them make the right decisions. Give them the best pointers you can and direct them to show them that the little details do count, because that's going to give them guidance and more than just music and car audio moving forward for the rest of their life. I can't say I'm ever going to forget about this build. Everything from the complaints he had to the satisfying smile on his face when he got to hear it for the few minutes before I left. And although I know at 18 he's not going to understand how great this thing sounds, because the feedback we're already getting from the show, we had 42 demos in the first few hours of the show of people getting in and out, with people coming back for more. And all we're hearing is, are you going to be around tomorrow? Are you going to be around tomorrow? Because they want to listen to it. But with the products we've got in this vehicle, it's simple, it's easy, and we're creating an affordable solution that anybody can put into a vehicle without breaking the bank. For more information on the products used in this build, check out arcaudio.com. If you guys were lucky enough to be here at CMA and had a chance to demo it, thank you for everybody who's come for this vehicle and taken a listen, and thank you for the awesome words of encouragement back on, honestly, the motivation that I can help give other people to appreciate music in the form of which they listen to it, and because the reason why we love it is the emotion we create together.